The cheap gas here. Every state's different, by the way. You know, some states the gas is more expensive, like in Cali. I know in New York, they pay a lot for gas. Illinois, same thing. They pay a lot for gas. That's right. Anyways, I was enjoying my gas prices right now. They're like about 230, 225. And if this war continues, the United States, Israel, and Iran, I could bet you the gas prices are going to soar. Like in Europe, it's going to go up a couple bucks. And then, from what Goldman Sachs said, be expecting gas prices to go up 130%. And think of how that sounds. That means, like, if assuming it was 230 here, that would be like $5.60 a gallon at 100%. And then add another 30 onto that. Damn near it's about $6 a gallon, bro, on God. And then, if gas prices hit $6 a gallon, right? If gas prices here in Texas hit $6 a gallon, just imagine what the cost of everything else is going to go up, especially like when you're talking about transportation cost for food, water, basic necessities. That means restaurants would have to be forced to go up on their shit. On God. I just can't believe this, man. You know, what are my thoughts about the whole thing? Since Trump's been in office, he has bombed 9 different countries since he's been in office. You want to be the world's policeman. You want to police the world, and that's one thing. But sometimes when you get too involved, sometimes it's not always good. When you always get involved, because it's like, remember we went into Afghanistan and we went into Iraq and all these other countries, and like our intention was, oh, we're going to do this, but then we did this, and then by the time we left, it left a mess. It's kind of like that. Like we always have this plan where we're going to go out and methodically, pursue what's the word I want to use? It's foreign policy or whatever. And then whenever the mission is complete, we pat ourselves on the back and say the mission is job well done. But then we just kind of leave a mess, and then you leave a bunch of disgruntled people, and then it just gives them another 100 reasons to hate us all over again. You know, this is the result of when um, you try to splurge, overindulge. I don't know the words you want to use, but when you try to, um, what's the word I want to use? I'm trying to find a fancy term without being too big. When you try to just overdo things, basically, it's just going to make things worse. So I was enjoying the gas prices at $2.30 a gallon. I could bet your ass it's going to be about damn near about $6 a gallon as this shit continues. If this stuff continues, you know, rather you're on the side of, well, we should have went in there or we shouldn't. People are going to have their reasons as to try to justify it. Like why we should have went in, why we shouldn't have went in. Well, we couldn't just sit there and do nothing. And it's like, okay, but look at the results of what's going to happen. This isn't going to be well. I was enjoying the $2.30 a gallon, and now, shit. Am I mute? Can y'all hear me? Let me know. Because I don't want to just be talking to myself and have to reboot this damn phone again. Sometimes your phone kind of acts up like that. YouTube's a little tricky, a little sketchy when it comes to, can they hear me? Can you not hear me? Am I good? Don't want to make it seem like I'm just talking to myself. Let me see. Pray for my brother. Gas and Cali's gonna bankrupt me. Man, gas prices about to jump up. On God. Like here in Texas, what, 230? Imagine what it's gonna be for us, about $6. So I just imagine what it's gonna be in California. It's probably shit. Yeah, what are y'all paying over there? Shit, tons about 130%. Man, this is insane, man. I mean, I just, this is gonna be bad for everybody, man. What do you think was gonna happen if we were gonna go in there, man? It was just gonna start a regional, or it was gonna spread and become a regional shit, a regional war. That's what you're seeing. It wasn't just gonna be secluded to one part. And now look what happened. This is yeah, $5 a gallon. It's gonna go up. Oh, absolutely. This shit sucks, man. I mean, I think World War III is about to pop off. Yeah, absolutely, Marvin. We're already reaching hyperinflation, and now you're gonna throw in this possible World War III. I mean, look at all these countries that are fighting already. This shit's got to get bad. The scary part is this going to go nuclear? That's the main concern right now, and gold and silver ain't going to matter at this point. It's going to be guns, ammunition, food, and water. That's it. That's all you're going to have for trade value. Maybe some gasoline for transportation to get from one place to another, but that's probably going to be your main trade-off. There may be some other items, but that's basically going to be your main essentials. Scary times we're living in, man. Did you hear about the mass shooting? Yeah, I heard about that. That's the one in Austin? Mm-hmm. I heard about that. And what sucks is every time like our politicians or these elitists start this shit, they never pay for it. It never like comes back on them. It comes back on us. You know what I'm saying? Like the citizens. Like we're the ones that have to pay for the repercussions, not them. Because if you raise gas prices to what, $5-6 here, they can afford that. That's bro. That's gonna be pretty bad. So that means it's gonna be about damn near about for me about $60 to fill my shit up. If that happens, about $60. I'm telling you, man. When I was younger, I didn't see the world for what it was until I got older, and now you see all this shit. Now it's just sort of like the cat's out of the bag, and you kind of see how corrupt a lot of these things still are. A lot of these things really are like politics and our world leaders and all this type of shit, man. You kind of can truly see beyond the lines of how really corrupt it is and evil that some of these people are, man. I don't even think it's about, it's one thing you print up all this money and you deflate our dollar. Now it's another thing that you just forcefully misuse our tax dollars right in our fucking face, mind you. While we're steadily working for a dollar that doesn't really mean nothing because you just print it up anyway, so it doesn't mean anything anyway. And the constant cost of living going up, which we've now entered the realm of hyperinflation. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that word, hyperinflation. I believe we have entered hyperinflation. I don't think we're just in regular inflation. I think it's now hyperinflation. And again, it's you got all these wars that aren't helping. The citizens have to pay for it, of course. They've already stopped producing the penny, so that pretty much means that the dollar's soon on the verge of collapse. I would be very shocked at this point by 2030 if we even have a dollar anymore. Everything will be digital currency, which, I mean, you could say, well, everything's electronic. I'm like, yeah, but then the government can trace every dollar. They have no business knowing every dollar I spend and where it's going. That's none of their business. You know, their job is, our concern is they need to keep their nose out of our business. You know what I'm saying? And they don't need to be knowing every dollar I spend. You know what I mean? If that ain't none of their business. That's what digital currency's all about. Is them just prying into my fucking private life even more and more. So then you collapse the dollar and then you transfer what your assets to the digital currency. So you're rich in the digital currency for those that are doing this. Basically, just crashing the market. Trump was all about draining the swamp. Well, it seems like to me he's part of the swamp. You know, he's just going to create a lot more enemies. I mean, you want to resort to war as the last ditch effort, as means that now sometimes war is necessary. I get that. You want peace through war. I get the ideology behind some sort of force, but I think that this definitely could have been avoided and should have been avoided. And now we're just sort of entering this dark realm of we're creating more enemies than friends and breaking off allies, and that's probably not going to end up well for us. You know. Yeah, I'm not saying that Biden was any better or worse. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying as a general totality of all the previous presidents, and I would say probably the last four administrations, from George Bush Jr. to the current president. Now I put Obama, Biden, all of them in there, but we have definitely dropped the ball in terms of increasing the deficit, devaluing the dollar, printing up money, misuse of the money, or whatever. Cost of living has gone up, hyperinflation. I mean, you could throw all these things in, and now you're creating enemies. I mean, dude, this is not good. What's not good for the goose is good for the gander in this case. And if the gas prices goes up, that means the cost of materials, goods are going to go up, and it just has a skyrocket effect because you have to transport items, so that's going to cost more because you have to pay more to transport the items. It's going to roll down to the cost, and who gets affected? The consumer. If the economy ain't already as bad as it already is, now you're just putting that nail in the fucking final coffin. I mean, this is crazy. This is insanity. Ludicrous. What happens when the internet goes down and gets wiped out? Yeah, crypto won't be there. They're sick. Let's see. I'm trying to read the rest of the comments. My bad. I see a lot of y'all commenting. My bad. I mean, like I said, man, look, politics is an ugly game. People are fighting back and forth. You see how ugly it is on the internet. So I try my best not to engage too much in these discussions. Instagram, it's even worse. People are fighting amongst each other. They're going through all the you know grapevine of going the extreme by either like doxing or trying to mass flag your channel or whatever the case may be. I try to stay away from that. I just give my opinion and try to, you know, word it in a manner to where it's professionalism, but I get my point across. It was not a smart move to engage in this war. It was not a smart move. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to have a ripple effect, and it doesn't look good. I would say that we need to focus on the issues here with mental illness, the homeless encampment crisis, um, bringing jobs back here, stopping, trying to have some sort of tax reform. I mean, I could go on and on and on with like the basic things I think that most of us here would want, to see fixed. But instead, it's like we're worrying, we're trying to, we're still on that world policeman shit, man. We're still on the world policeman. We want to flex our arms and flex our muscles while we're just rotting in the inside. You know, we're just like rotting on the inside, trying to flex our muscles. That's what I think we're doing. I'm just, giving my opinion to all this. Everybody at the end of the day, they're entitled to, you know, how they view this situation. So I'm not going to tell you you're right or wrong. I'm just giving my opinion to it. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong. I'm just saying, from my personal opinion, I don't think it was the best decision to do this. I think that we need to focus on more domestic issues here. And I think until we do that, then everything else is just either a distraction or it's fool's gold. What are your thoughts on the Epstein? Well, I'll tell you this. I'll leave it like this because I'm not really too familiar with who's in the docket and who's involved and all that. So I'm not going to go through the speculation point, but I will say this. If there's no one prosecuted from this, it just really shows that our system is a joke. If no one is prosecuted, if the claims are true, the investigations are correct about the facts that they have in the manner, if there's no prosecutions or, no one's being indicted, it just really shows that the system is just a joke. At that point, you would have to assume. I'll just leave it at that. And I'll let you guys just, fill in the blank or whatever on that, and whatever the case may be. If they if there's no prosecutions from it, if assuming that all the information is accurate and there's no prosecutions of anyone, then yeah, it's a joke at that point. Like the whole system would be a joke. It would just look as just a comedy or just a rules for me but not thee, or certain people or of status and or wealth can sort of skate by while the middle and poor or even some of the upper class would have to face the consequences of that, of something similar, or if not just in general, like, man, this ain't gonna end well, man. This when I think it wasn't gonna get worse, it got worse. You know, and like I said, I was enjoying my $2.30 a gallon here, and then if it goes up to if what Goldman Sachs is saying is true, gas hits what, 130% increase. So you're looking at what, 460 a gallon here at least, plus the 30%. You're looking at about $5 a gallon here. Oh my God. I would probably want to faint. I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at the chat. I was reading them earlier and reading the comments and responding. 650, Jesus Christ. Lord of mercy. That's a lot, bro, for gas, man. And just imagine if gas goes up, what the cost of everything else would be like, because now that's going to mean that everything else is going to go up because you have to subsidize the increase in that gas for the transportation cost. That's going to go down to to the merchandise, to the whatever it is they're selling, the products, would take a toll if we haven't already taken a toll already. Dude, you know how much it costs over here for like two bottles of soda, like two 20-ounce bottles of like Coke or Diet Coke or whatever it is, bro, like damn near about $5-6. I'm like, God damn, man, about almost $5 for two. I even remember back in the day, you used to get two of those for like $2 or $1. It's crazy how, you know, expensive everything got, and then now you throw this, and it's just. Oh, man, am I the only one that's worrying about this shit? Am I the only one that's panicking? It may be higher. Oh God. Well, it's 2:30 here in Texas, but I would be assuming it's gonna jump up because it's already jumping up in Europe. So I'm pretty certain it'll jump up here. It'll have a worldwide effect. It's like going out to just to go somewhere would be like going out to eat or something. And then going out, oh my God. You may not even want to leave the house. Just imagine what it would cost to Uber. All you guys out there that Uber or like DoorDash. Oh my God. I could only imagine, or like, if you get some sort of um, service that delivers, oh my God. Just imagine what it's gonna cost for delivery costs. Yeah, I was delivered. So you're kind of screwed if you have to drive to go somewhere, or if you have to have it delivered to your house. You're kind of like still gonna end up investing if assuming gas hits that high. Like I'm gonna start crying when I see gas hit about $5 a gallon. I believe it's possible it could happen. Electric cars cost more. Yeah, that's what I heard. Electric cars are expensive. The creation of money by inflation and devalues, and yeah, I mean it kind of what I'll tell you what sucks is when you're working for the dollar and only to hear that your government's printing up money and just blowing it. And it's just like it makes you feel like you're working for bullshit. Like you're just working for like horse manure. Because if you're just printing up money just out of nowhere and just all the time, it seems like, and then I'm just working for it, it just means you're basically telling me that the dollar I'm working for doesn't mean anything at this point. I'm just working for free. I mean, it's not technically, but it feels that way because you're just devaluing the dollar, you're inflating the economy. Man, dude, this isn't good. What's good for the goose is not good for the gander. I'll tell you this though, but if and people say, well, you invest in gold and silver, that'll be the next stop. You can use that as trade value. I'm like, not necessarily. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the dollar was once backed by gold, but I don't think it would work in this case because if you have a hyperinflated dollar, gold has jumped up. China's buying all the gold up. It's just like what they're going to do with crypto. Like people are buying up crypto and then it's just going to crash. Same thing's going to happen with gold. I predict it's going to happen with gold and silver. And then if the dollar collapses, then the gold and silver really ain't going to mean shit at that point. I mean, who the hell is going to want a pile of fucking gold for trade value? It's not going to mean anything if you don't have a currency. So I'm just going to be like, well, then that means food, water, gas, ammunition, guns. Now that's trade value. But gold and silver, probably wouldn't work. You think people just got too greedy and it just came by? Absolutely. I think people were just stealing out of the register. It's an old term that one of my mentors told me. He said, you know, when people just keep stealing from the register, people just stop caring. And I think that's really what it gets. Like if you look at like whether it's communism or capitalism, whatever you you want to follow, it doesn't really matter. Currency is currency, and the way it's going to work is it's essentially we're just if you look at capitalism and socialism, there's a lot of corruption in both. Now, many people say, well, capitalism is a lot better, and some people will say, well, social. I just kind of look at it and say, I think we just live in a nation of stealing. If you kind of look at it, the way that service is not good anymore, most people don't really are not really motivated or enthusiastic about their job, and then most people they want the job, but they don't want to do the work, and then you don't want to work for hyperinflated dollar anyway, and then it's just battle around, and then on top of that, the service quality is not really as good anymore as it used to be. You kind of see these things, from the parts to the materials are not really made well. They look like they're from some third party vendor. God knows where they got it from. And you see all these problems occurring with like, especially like in real estate with all these newer homes being developed. You see a lot of the materials they're using are not as good as they used to be. And they're still selling it for what, two, three times the amount. So they hide a lot of the discrepancies in the materials, and then they're using cheap raw materials and just jacking up the cost three or four times. And you even see this in the restaurant industry too, with food too. Food quality's gone down, but yet the cost is continuously what, rising, right? It's just all around just bad. That is true. That's basically what property tax is. Well, leaving Cali is basically just saying in the comments, basically, uh, property tax is just a scam. This is basically like you're paying for a piece of property you own. That doesn't make any sense. We should not be paying a property tax. Like you go to California, I was looking on the appraisal district just for shits and giggles, like, basic homes in California. And I saw homes, beautiful houses in California. They got beautiful homes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not questioning that. But man, they want like $50,000 in property taxes. That's not even including the cost of the house. They want 50,000 a year for some of them houses just for property. Bro, that is insane. That's like you basically investing in a down payment, a big ass down payment for a brand new house that doesn't even exist. So just imagine in like 3 years, or let's say 5, 6 years, 7 years, you done paid for another fucking house on top of the house you're still paying off. That's insane. Yeah, it basically is. Yeah. So if you pay off your house, you're still paying the property tax. You don't pay the property tax, what, in 3 years? They can, certain state, you have to check this on your state law, but I think here it's 3 years. They can start the process of taking the house from you. And that's just crazy. So imagine your house is paid off and you think, okay, well, I could just kind of just chill in my house, and worst case scenario, you lose your job. You're like, well, at least I still have somewhere to live. Yeah, the lights might be off till I find another job, but at least I'm good. But shit, 3 years go by, and all of a sudden you're in the process of eviction, and you're like, what the hell? Like, but the house is paid off. Like, you'd be amazed at how many houses I see on the appraisal district that are selling the houses in auction that are already paid off, and that you just have to pay the property tax. People get 9, 10,000 behind, and then you just have to pay the property tax. The house is yours. So imagine all the years of sweat and hard work that you put into that house just to lose it because the property taxes weren't maintained, which basically means you never really owned your house, right? You never owned it, you know? You never really owned it. It's just kind of an illusion that you own the house. I was reading a report in Mexico that property taxes were like $50 a year. I'm like, now maybe that may be wrong. I don't know. I'd have to maybe look into that. But I was told that it was $50. And I was like, Well, shit, why can't we do that here? You know, $50. They say that property taxes pays off for like schools and blah blah blah, but I don't know. I don't find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe. I think a lot of that money is just going in other places it shouldn't have no business going to. In fact, I was reading on the news the other day here in Houston alone, we're talking about getting rid of like 7 or 8 elementary schools, and people were kind of protesting that, right? And you're right. Leaving Cali, you don't own anything. I agree. So here's the thing: if you're getting rid of 7 schools, elementary schools, right, and they're protesting that right now, right? My question is, if the schools are, if we're, because they're saying that less kids are going in because we're going through a population decline. So if you're getting rid of 7, 8 schools, then by theory, I shouldn't see that much rises on my property taxes. I should actually start seeing at a discounted rate, because you're telling me that my property taxes is going towards the schools, but now you're telling me you're going to get rid of some of these schools. So then I should see some sort of discount on my property tax. I mean, I would assume, right? Because you're telling me you're getting rid of schools, and or you're um or you're going to get rid of some of them, so you're depleting them, you're downsizing. Well, then I should see that on my property tax bill, but I don't think I'm gonna see that on my property tax bill. They just want to raise the taxes to keep the schools open. I agree with that. Less schools, less tax. Yeah, dude. I was, I remember when I was growing up, you would go to a bus stop in every corner of your street. I don't know, like, if you guys experience this, but every street corner had kids waiting to get on the bus, like 10, 15. And it was like the bus was so fucking full, you couldn't even sit on the fucking bus. You had to stand next to someone standing because it was so packed. And it's like now I look at these buses, like, because when I'm coming home from work, right? I see the buses in the neighborhood and they're not even half full. Maybe like 10, 15 kids on the bus. I've never seen it like that ever. Which, what does that tell you? Population decline. Less kids are enrolling in schools. Isn't that crazy? Like, pretty soon we won't even need buses. Yeah, a lot of people are doing homeschool. Yeah, but I still believe that I still believe we are going through some sort of population decline. I do. I believe in Western civilization we are. Even Japan right now is complaining about how they're not having enough kids. So it's not just particular in the United States, but I think it's also happening in Europe too, and it's also happening like in Japan. It's kind of crazy how that works, like when I was growing up, it used to be you wanted to find a wife, you wanted to have 2.5 kids, a white picket fence, 2 cars, nice job at a warehouse or something, a career, and a partridge in a pear tree, and a retirement. And maybe a 401k, if not an IRA, and you were good and you had your retirement. And that was just the basic average life of like the regular person, the regular people. Wife could stay at the house, husband goes out and works, whatever. And that was just sort of the American dream, right? The American way. Boy, has that shifted. Now it's like you can't have kids because they're too expensive to have. You don't want to get married because everybody's fighting and everybody hates each other's guts, it seems. And then everybody hates each other, right? Am I not lying? Everyone hates each other, it seems. You know? I mean, I think leaving Cali does kind of make a little bit of sense in that last comment that's under review. I'm going to show it because it doesn't pop up, but yeah, it does come into question. I do believe that. Um, it's too expensive to have kids, and then the cost of living's gone up. Everybody hates each other, right? And then You know, it just like it's like it just is like a demoralized, self-defeated thing, and it's like it's you just kind of see it in everybody now. Now it's like everyone just kind of drifts through life. It seems it's like you just see people just drifting, just like a cloud. You know, you look in the sky and there's clouds, and the clouds go by, and you're like, hey man, that cloud looks like it's moving, and then you'll just see like what it looks like an ocean in the sky, but it's blue, and you see white clouds just moving. It's kind of like how we are now. It's like we're just all just drifting. We're just clouds in the sky, just moving slowly at a slow pace, just drifting away. We don't even know where we're going. It's just drifting. It's just keeps moving. You leaving Cali knows what I'm talking about. This weird. You know, when I was growing up, man, I thought the world was like all peaches and cream, and everyone was just so hunky dory, and everyone, you know, you wanted to make friends and stuff. Now it's like you get older, you kind of see the world for what it's really like. And I'm not saying that there's no good people. I'm not saying that, but it's just you see all this stuff, this chaos. It just sometimes it just leaves you with no room for light. There's like you always say, there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? There's at the end of the tunnel, there's light, and then sometimes you'll see a small light, and you think, okay, well, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, okay. But sometimes you wake up and you feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. That maybe this just all needs to collapse. If y'all guys watch my last video, I made 5 days ago because I can't stream as much as I used to, so I can only do it on my off days because I work a night shift. It's, you know, not like my previous jobs. I work day and afternoon, so I could talk all night and yap all night. I can't do that anymore. I can only do it on my off days. So now I have to space my videos out, which maybe that's a good thing because it kind of takes me away from getting sucked into the addiction of being on YouTube every day. So it kind of helps me. It kind of helps me focus on other avenues of my life. So maybe this is kind of a good thing. You know, this is a blissful thing for me to kind of step away from YouTube, not put as much time as I used to. So I guess that's a good thing. But you know, you feel like there's like a light at the end of the tunnel, and then you just wake up and then you look and it's like you don't see a light sometimes. You just feel like the light's gone. And then maybe you just feel like this thing has to collapse. Maybe it's a humbling moment for all of us. Maybe it's you know, I always thought maybe we could save the society, we could save the dollar, we could save this. And maybe a little part of me believes it, but then like a larger part of me now is believing, well, maybe this all just needs to collapse. You know, like the Roman Empire fell, you know, it was nice to know you for, you know, the amount of time they were in power. And it's like, well, maybe just, you know, all good things come to an end. Maybe it was just meant to happen. Maybe this was, I mean, maybe it was self-inflicted. Yeah, I agree with that, Marvin from Facebook Live. I agree with that. But, you know, I think a lot of it isn't self-inflicted. I think, like my mentor told me, it was the case where we just got so used to stealing from the pot and eventually it just came to bite us in the ass. It was just a thing. And like we live in a nation of stealing. Remember, I told you about capitalism, socialism, cheap raw materials to the way the business is conducted nowadays. It seems like we just live in a nation of stealing. People are just there to suck up a paycheck, and that's it. That's just the from what I'm looking at. I see how most people operate. And when I was growing up, people took pride in their jobs. People took pride um, in providing a service and helping each other. People took pride on careers. People took pride on having kids. People took pride on enjoying life and wanting to get along with others and not wanting to fight with your fellow neighbors. Not saying you were never going to fight with them, but people took more pride in being alive and to enjoying life. And it just, to me, it seems like that's all like a thing in the past now. It seems like it's the opposite of everything now. People don't want to get married. People don't want to have kids. They don't want to make friends with anybody. People are selfish. People are entitled. People just want things done their own way, and they don't want to bend or whatever to anybody. People want a job. They want high pay with the least amount of responsibility, or they want to just they want somebody else to pay for them in life, and that's just not. That's just the way people are now. Most people are. No one cares anymore. In the church, it was a horrible thing that happened. Jesus is the light, way, the truth, vengeance. You got me a sub. Well, I appreciate you, man. You blew your disc in your back. I'm sorry to hear about that, man. I really am. I have I have what's called lower acute back pain in my lower back. I blew that bitch out when I was at Walmart, lifting 5,000 boxes of freight, plus working in the meat department with frozen meat and seafood and all that. Lifting heavy boxes. I did that 6 days a week for 4 years straight, and my back gave out. Now it's better, but I had to step away to get my back, and it took me. I think right now I'm going on I'm going on year 3 since I left Walmart, and my back is just barely at 90%, and that's being 3 years away. I had to step away from that, and it took rehab, stretching. It took a lot of taking the pressure off my back for it to be normal again. And even then, it's still not normal. So yeah, I know about injury. It sucks. It's the worst thing to have. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemies. But yeah, it just seems like no one gets along. Everyone's struggling. It seems like, which that's another thing I wanted to get into. Um, I run into a lot of people out here. Just a lot of people are just struggling, and they're trying to pay their bills, and then on top of this bullshit that's happening, and it's just again, and I may have some people who may be angry when I say this, but I did vote for Trump twice. This last election, I did not vote. Trump's best years were in 2016, 2017. That was it. Appointed Supreme Court justice, keeping the taxes low, cost of living was fair in those 2 years. And after that, he dropped a lot of momentum, allowing the Democrats to take control of the House and the Senate. Half of or most of the Congress, not repealing most of Obama's HR 5736, HR 5181. I could go on and on. Not repealing Obama's policies or laws, allowing the country to be continuously run under Democratic policies, just continuously dropping the ball right in the first COVID check, sitting next to Dr. Fauci, demanding that everybody stay out of work. It was a bad idea in the first place. And essentially just killing the mom and pop businesses, driving up the deficit by $12-13 trillion, which was almost the same amount as Barack Obama. Just saying, from my personal observation, that's what I saw in his presidency. Now, again, this one now, I'm not saying that he didn't endure a mess, because every president that steps in has to endure that. I will say that the thing that I liked about this, I guess since he's been in now, is the overtime policy. But I feel that's a smoke and mirrors for what most people experience. I can work a lot of overtime, but most of my friends don't get that experience because most jobs don't want to give you full time. And a lot of the jobs are now being taken away by AI, and a lot of our jobs are being sent elsewhere, and then these wars, hyperinflation, the taxes are increasing. It seems like cost of living's continuing to go up. I just, other than maybe the big beautiful tax bill, which the overtime was not taxed for 1/3, I got 1,800 back, which, I mean, that's okay. I've never gotten that much, but back before, I guess it's okay. But it's like, same time, it's like that's just a small speck of a bunch of issues that need to be addressed, especially in regards to, our tax reform. It's just, are we ever going to get that addressed? Are we ever going to see property taxes go away? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, is he just not concerned? I don't know. Is he not concerned about bringing jobs back here? Full-time jobs that have a career path? I mean, I don't know. Yep, Ghost Mechanic, I agree. Or Machine, I'm sorry. All right, well, you leaving Cali. It was good to talk to you, man. You seem pretty cool. Um, like I said, I didn't vote in this last election, and quite frankly, I don't know if I ever want to vote again. I don't know. I've never been so sure about not voting because they say it's very patriotic that we should vote. At this point, I just don't know anymore. It's sort of like I feel like I'm floating in a cloud right now, trying to figure things out. It's like, imagine if you're in a room, like not even a room, but you're in an area and it's very foggy. And you know, sometimes when it's real foggy, depending on where you live, you could barely see a couple feet in front of you. I feel like that's kind of where we're at. We're like in a giant fog. Not the movie The Fog, because that movie was actually a good movie. The old one and the new version is good. By the way, I've seen both versions. But we're in a big giant cesspool of a giant fog. It's like we either have to get rid of the fog or we have to know what's on the other side of the fog and how to get there. It's going to get us out of the fog. But that I do not know how that's going to happen. Don't worry, I won't be on all night, guys. I'll try to wrap this up in the next 5, 6 minutes. What candidate do you think that would be best representative that could come in and, well, I hate to say this, but I just don't know if I have confidence in a lot of these guys that have been here for so long. I feel like I want to see like some candidates that are maybe, maybe instead of like billionaires, maybe like millionaires or something, like somebody that's kind of maybe a little close net to the average common person. You know, maybe appointing somebody that's a little less younger, 80, 90 years old running for president. It's kind of like, maybe we could get somebody that's like middle aged or something, like 55 or something. I'm just kind of throwing those ideas out there, you know. Um, this is my opinion, but even then, I have like confidence we can get through this, but I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel like we're so far in the hole internally. I don't know how we're going to get out of this. It's that uncertainty. I was like we're so far in the hole. I don't know how we're going to get out of this as a nation. I just think that we dug ourselves a big hole, and it's just, man, it's not enough rope to pull us out. I don't know if this can be fixed. I wish I had the answers. I tell you this, I wish I had the answers. I really do. People are out here trying to pay their bills. They're suffering. You got this hyperinflation going on. A lot of our tax dollars are being wastefully spent, right? Meanwhile, our cost of living is continuously go up. Wages are stagnant. Even though I don't think necessarily wages are the answer to inflation, but I think we need to find out how to fix the inflation so that we don't have to keep raising the wages to accommodate to an overinflated, hyperinflated economy. Because when people say, well, I want to raise and stuff, and I'm like, well, that's great. I mean, everybody does, You want, the higher number than what you have now? Absolutely. But at the same time, just because the raises increase does not mean your life necessarily increases. Like a lot of people think, well, $2, $3 raise. Wow, that's great. I feel like it's kind of like fool's gold. It's like a trick. It's like, well, yeah, you can make the extra 500, 600 a month or 700, depending on the hours you work. That's great, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to improve your life unless you saw some sort of significant raise that was just astronomically to where you would know the difference. Like if let's say you made an extra, let's just say for shits and giggles, maybe 40, 50,000 a year, then you can make the argument, okay, well, that is going to improve my quality of life a lot more. But if it's like maybe 20,000 and under, sure, you may have the extra payments for this or that, but it's really not going to make a significant difference. When you divide it up by the month, by the paycheck, you're going to see a slight increase, of course, but it's not going to be to where, if you're trying to get out of a hole, it's going to make it so much easier. Unless you're just making like 50 to 60, 75K more, then that's kind of an argument there. Okay, well then, we're making a lot more. That would help. And so that's where I think a lot of people get confused on the number and configured. Also depend on where you live, because the state, the cost of living in certain states are higher than others. Like Texas is a lot cheaper, but I'm wondering if it's going to be able to maintain that course because everything here has gone up. A lot of people are moving in, and it's going to increase tourism. It's going to increase the cost of living, and yeah. So what was once one of the cheapest states to live in, it could very well change. That very well could change. Yeah, I just wish I had the answers. I really did. The same boat. Yeah, I agree. I agree. You're absolutely right. We are kind of in the same boat. It just sucks, man, because I hate seeing people struggle. It's like I see a lot of my friends, even family. I see a lot of people out here like struggling. I mean, like struggling. It's like you just feel bad, because I think personally, like when you make so much money, like for these people in power, they could buy anything they want. So then you get bored of that. So the only thing, what is there left to do is power, right? Instilling power on others and making their lives miserable because it gets your rocks off and makes you feel good. I'll tell you the most disgusting thing I see on the internet today. And this isn't just from like the people at the top that do this. I see a lot of like your everyday Joes doing this. A lot of these content makers. What's what I don't know. It just, to me, we fight over stuff that it's not going to really matter when we transfer to the next phase after life. Like our wealth doesn't go with us, right? So you see a lot of people on the internet talking about all these cars and all these women or all these men they get and how they have it so good, and they'll rub it in your face and they're like, look at everything. You don't got nothing and you're a peasant. And they're doing that whole Andrew Tate bullshit about how you're a brokey and you don't have nothing. And you see a lot of these content makers are engaging in this type of conversation. And it's really sad because life is short, right? You don't know how long you're going to live. People want to live to 100, but that doesn't mean you're going to live to 100. It seems like I've been losing friends, and a lot of friends and family. Well, a lot of friends, particularly under the age of 30, it seems like to me now, than more so the ones that actually make it past. A lot of people are fighting over materialistic stuff about how I'm better than you. I have all this money and stuff. And it's like, whatever happened to just being a humble person and just saying, you know what, man, I was given a gift, or, I'm blessed to be making X amount of dollars and I want to pass this knowledge to the next person so that maybe it can help you find your niche in life to where then you can transpire that and make more money and become successful. But it's like, no, they don't want to do that. they just want to tell you like how much they're better than you and you ain't shit and I got all this money and you ain't nothing and you're a brokey and I have all this. Look at all these cars. Look at all these women. I go, you don't got nothing. You'll never be. And it's like, that's what we're resorted to now. Really? Wow. And then we kind of wonder why we're in the mess we're in. You know, that's why I said, everybody's fighting over dumb shit, over like irrelevant shit that's not going to matter anyway. Like in 50 years from now, nobody's going to be here. Like none of us. Like we'll be long gone. And somebody else will be in your house, that you once owned, and it'll be somebody else buying the property. And then it's just to tell the wind. It's just like we're small specks in the life cycle. The Earth's been around for millions of years. The average human life expectancy is 77 years. Now it's probably gone up slightly, maybe in the 80s. So even if you do make it to 100, right? You make it to 100 years old, it's still just a small window, tiny window of all the millions of years that gone by and all the humans that have been here before us and all the humans that'll be here left. And we're just going to spend the little time we're here fighting and doing all this dumb shit, man. Like all this dumb shit. In the sand. Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Ghost Machine. Yeah. Usually I get a lot of people on my channel, but I haven't really been doing videos in a while. So they probably are all asleep right now, so they have no clue. So that's probably why y'all are the only ones on here. Like I said, I just wanted to say what I have to say for about an hour and then go to sleep. And I might do a video tomorrow because I'm off tomorrow. I'm going to Center Court Pizza tomorrow. I'll have some pizza. And then I might do another video about another topic, maybe something similar. If not, maybe something different. I don't know. It just depends on how I feel. But while we're fighting over dumb shit, we're just rotting in the inside, man. Like the core. I don't know. I think I'm out of energy now. At least in this video, I think I pretty much said everything I had to say. Got my point across. Yep, gas prices are going to go up. That's going to suck. Because right now I can fill up my 10-gallon tank for what? Like, let's just say $24 total, give or take, would fill my whole tank. Now, if you spike that, assuming gas prices goes up to 130%, that'd be like what? Like $5 times 10, $50. So it nearly doubled. Like my gas prices would double. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, so I would have to fill up double just for my damn gas prices, man. That's crazy. And then if I go out to eat, just imagine what it would cost now to get this food. This is insane, man. It's like we're all just going into chaos. It's like the world is just one giant fireball just waiting to set ablaze. You know where I got that from? It's a movie called Trench 11. If you guys are into World War II movies, I'm in the World War II. It's like they came to this base in Germany, and Germany, like there's a lot of like folk tales about how they were producing like mass weapons and zombies and all types of stuff to like, basically they invented like this zombie or whatever. And there was a scene where like the German soldier was down there. He's like the whole world is just he's like, it's just a one giant fireball just waiting to be ablazed. Just waiting to be ablazed. That's a good movie, Trench 11. You guys haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. It's a damn good movie. And he's like, and Germany will prosper. And if it wasn't, and he's like, and if it doesn't, it wasn't up to the task. But it's a good movie. You got to watch it. I don't want to say no more. I'll leave it at that. I'm in the World War II movies. So that's my shit, man. I'm into different movies too. I like Civil War movies. I'm into history. I also like vampire, werewolf, zombie movies. I'm into horror movies. I'm a big horror fanatic. And yeah, my spare time when I'm not here thinking about this shit, I like to watch little movies every now and then, you know? I just got back from seeing a Scream 7 today. I like Nev Campbell. She returned to Sidney Prescott. She has a daughter and she's married to the police chief. And they moved away from Woodsboro, New York, I believe, and now they live like somewhere else. And it's a really good movie. I kind of liked it. You know, I think the way the Scream series is going to end, Nev Campbell will end up becoming the killer. I predict in like part 9 or 10, and her daughter's going to end up probably have to take her out. That's what I predict. That's where I think the story's going. Nev Campbell's going to take a huge heel turn, like the wrestling term. She's going to, take a big heel turn. Yep. Anyways, well, I'm going to get some sleep and go to bed. Y'all take care, and I'll see y'all tomorrow for another live stream. I'll come up with something.